Hi, this is a presentation on the nature of organizational leadership. I'm Reggie York, University of North Carolina, Wilmington. This review of the nature of organizational leadership will focus upon lessons we can learn that's particularly relevant to the human service organization. At the completion of this module, you will be able to define the concept of leadership. What does leadership mean? What does it not mean? Distinguish between formal and informal leadership. These are two types of leadership that you will see on display once you understand what leadership is. 3, develop a beginning argument regarding whether there is one best way to lead. Is there one best leadership style that seems to work in all situations or not? Number 4, understand the key questions to be reviewed in this leadership course. Let's talk about first, what is leadership? Which of the following is truly leadership? Look at these 3 definitions, hit the pause button, and then come back. Okay, the first one is that a role you are given, like you're the clinical supervisor, therefore you are a leader, is an effort on your part to influence others in a positive direction, like I'm trying to get you to come into work on time. I'm trying. Or is it the last one, an effort on your part that actually has the effect of influencing positive action by others? I would say it's the latter. That's the way I would define leadership. Leadership as influence. A team captain is expected to be a leader, but will not exercise leadership unless he or she influences the actions of the group. So leadership has to do with what you accomplish, rather than being a role. You may be in a role that expects you to be a leader, but you're not a leader unless you are actually influencing people. The supervisor is expected to be a leader, but it will only be so if he or she influences the actions of supervisees. Leadership can come from anyone, whether designated formally as a leader or not. There's lots of leadership that goes on in an organization that comes from many different places, different people in different places. So what is the difference between formal and informal leadership? What makes someone a formal leader? Well, it's usually something that is formally established, like the role you have been given. You're the supervisor, you're the executive director of the agency, and so forth. That's assigned to you on a formal basis. An informal leader, however, is someone who simply influences things in a positive direction, but may not necessarily be a person who has been assigned a leadership role. What contributes to your level of informal leadership? Look at these 4 things for a moment. Hit the pause button, look at them, think about them, and come back then for discussion. Would you say relationship skill or knowledge or both? I would say both. How about introversion or extroversion? I would say extroversion is more important than introversion. There, the extrovert is a more natural leader than the introvert. How about persuasiveness or family prestige? Persuasiveness obviously is a major factor in regard to leadership. Your family prestige may influence it, but not very much unless you show you are effective. How about social status in general? Sometimes that leads to some degree of informal leadership, where it supports or it promotes you as an informal leader to some degree. Formal leadership is operationalized in regard to recognized roles, as I just mentioned. Informal leadership is the influence of one upon another and can come from anywhere or anyone. Background characteristics can give one person more informal power than another, such as family wealth, prior work experience, politics, and so forth. But it's usually not going to stay unless you have skill in leadership. But mostly informal leadership is the result of knowledge, skills, and personality. Let's talk about traits. What does a good leader look like? Is a good leader competitive or cooperative? I'd say more cooperative than competitive. Supportive or intimidating? I would say supportive. A person who tells it like it is, or someone who is tactful? I always say tactful is better. Not that any of these things mean that you are disqualified from being a leader, but I think when it comes to choices between these, cooperative is better than competitive, supportive is better than intimidating, and tactful is better than telling it like it is. Some of the skills of the good leader are technical, knowing how to do things, human, relating well to others, conceptual, putting things into perspective. Or is it all of the above? Think about it for a moment. I would say that it's all of the above. Let's talk about leadership style, something that will be discussed more in other lessons. What does leadership style mean? Well, one of the ways to look at it is whether you focus more on tasks, getting the job done, for example, or your relationships with people, being supportive and so forth. That is something that says something about the kind of style of leadership that you have. Is there one best style of leadership that is best? Is there one style that's best? Example, should a different style of leadership be used in supervising Medicare application processors than the one who would supervise psychotherapists? I would say it takes a different kind of leader to do those different things. A different style of leadership would be more effective in those two situations. Let's talk about leadership and persuasion briefly. Leadership is about persuasion. The leader can use knowledge to persuade so that you become convinced that the best way to go is the way I have asked you to go. A leader can offer a reward for compliance. If you'll stay late, you can get a day off. A leader can threaten a punishment for noncompliance. Failure to get this report done on time will result in a statement in your evaluation report at the end of the year, for example. A leader can rely on the authority inherent in his or her position, meaning I have the job of assigning people to work, and I have jobs, and I'm assigning you to this job, and it's my authority to do that, and you recognize it. Using the power of expertise, suppose you used your expertise and knowledge to convince a follower to comply with a certain action. Would you like to get compliance without commitment, compliance with commitment, or resistance? These are three possible outcomes of an attempt to exert influence. People can comply without commitment, comply with commitment, or they might resist. Well, I would say if you use your expertise, you're more likely to get compliance with commitment because you've convinced people. They've taken it on as their own thing to do because it's the right thing to do. How about reward power? If you offer a reward for compliance, are you likely to get compliance without commitment, compliance with commitment, or resistance? Well, you may be surprised about this one, but you're most likely to get compliance without commitment. You've given an award, a reward, to someone to do something. They then would think to themselves, I'm doing it because of the reward, not because I've decided it's my thing to do. So you're more likely to get compliance, but probably not commitment. How about punishment? If you threaten to give a punishment for non-compliance, what would you like to get in return? Would you get compliance, commitment, resistance? Well, you're more likely to get either compliance or resistance. You're certainly not going to get commitment. Here is a summary of what we've gone over in this overview of leadership. Leadership is about influence of actions, not solely about a designated formal role. Certain traits make one more effective than others as a leader, but traits are considered generally to be a weak predictor of who will emerge as the leader. They tell you something about it, but they certainly don't tell you all that you need to know. Good leaders have certain skills. Good leaders are persuasive, using expertise or rewards rather than punishment, because expertise is more likely to lead to commitment. So I'd say expertise is better than rewards, which is better than punishment, because of the importance of decision commitment. That is to say, people not only comply, but they are committed to it. In human services, it's very important to get people to be committed to the action that you're suggesting that they take. That is the end of my presentation. I hope this helps you.